welcome to Gritty Grace of Motherhood Monday. We're on the home stretch here, guys. If you've joined me before, you know that we are on our 6th chapter in Gritty Grace of Motherhood. Link is down below. If you haven't watched the previous videos, they'll be linked as well below. We're almost there. I've been saying we got to go down. Now we're on our way back up. This chapter is on trusting God's plan. Very simple, straightforward, but not an easy thing to do. So I'm going to get right into it. A boy. I was having a boy. Not the bouncing baby girl I had seen in my dreams. Not the oldest girl that I had bought the cute little hat for. A boy. A rough and tumble, bringing in bugs and frogs, peeing on trees boy. Nothing about this was in my plans. I stared at my computer screen, trying to reconcile the news I had gotten the day before. Never again would I find out if I was having a boy or a girl in front of other people at a party. Goodness knows, finding out the baby was not the right... I stopped myself. Poor kid, I thought. His mama is a selfish nut job. I shook my head, took a deep breath, squared my shoulders. No, I whispered to myself. I would not think this way anymore. He had no more choice over this than I did. He was a boy. It would probably be messy, hyper, and rough, and tough. But he would also be a gentleman. He would be godly, kind, caring, and a leader. I would accept nothing less. If I was going to raise a man, I was going to do it right. Oh, boy. Something that a lot of other mothers, parents, grandparents, what have you, don't talk about in general is that there is a lot of excitement over finding out the gender, especially in today's era of Pinterest and birth announcements and what have you. There's a lot of excitement over the gender. And I know that gender is that topic that's kind of right now. But we're talking about whether or not the baby is biologically a boy, biologically a girl. That's all we're talking about. And there's a lot of excitement about finding that out, and a lot of, baby showers and gender reveals are, are you team blue or are you team pink? And I was firmly entrenched in team pink. My goodness, golly. I had won a community gift basket prize where a whole bunch of companies had pulled in, or a bunch of small businesses pulled in their stuff, and in that was a little baby hat with a button on it where you could exchange different flower bows, and one was camo, and it was just the cutest thing ever. And I took that as a sign because I won it when I was pregnant. Shortly after I found out I was pregnant with my oldest, I took it as a sign I'm having a girl, and I was convinced that's what it was. It was, of course, a girl. And of course I was, neck deep in gender reveal things. And I remember we went to my brother-in-law. She made the cake. She knew the gender. My mom knew the gender. Both of them knew I wanted a girl. And I'm sitting in front of not very many people. It was a very small gathering. But I was sitting there and I cut into the cake and it's blue. And my heart sank, and it was everything I could do to not immediately burst into tears, because the little girl I had pictured was a boy. And I look at my son now and I can't imagine my life with an oldest daughter. I can't, because he's part of our family. I want to say he's so perfect for our family, but I mean, that is the truth, is it not? God placed him in our family. God knew I needed a little boy first. He knew that there were parts of me that needed to learn lessons that only little boys could learn. And I'm not saying he withheld my daughter until I learned the lesson, because goodness knows I haven't. I'm constantly learning new lessons every day. But I had to sacrifice the fact that I can't control things. And what's really scary is when you have children, you realize just how little control you have. Can I get an amen in the comments, mamas? Because the fact of the matter is, if we as Christian women, our job is, excuse me, our job is to disciple other people. That is biblical. But we have been charged with discipling our own children. And if anything COVID has taught us is that we are ill-equipped to do that. We are so used to our generation and the previous generation, for sure, maybe even the generation before that, are so used to the church doing all of the discipling. But what happens when you can't go to church, right? We have to learn how to disciple our children. And then there's the nightmare of, well, what if they don't believe? And what if they, like, I have relatives that are actual atheists. And when I say actual versus self-proclaimed, they're actual atheists. They've studied the Bible, they've studied other religions, and they've still come to the conclusion that there is no God. They're actually legitimate atheists. And that's a nightmare for their relatives that are Christians, because they're sitting there going, you have so turned your back that we're not going to see you again if you die. That is what we believe. And it's agony as a mom to sit there and go, I can lead my children to the water and I can pray, but I have no control over their choice. They have to make that, and I have no control over that. None. So trusting that God will call them and that God will lead them and that will reveal himself to them in an unmistakable way, that is incredibly difficult for a mom to do, because we have to control. That's our MO. That's what society teaches us. And learning that our plan is not God's plan and accepting that. There was a poem that was on my fridge growing up that I'll never forget. And I literally, because when I was, even as a teenager, I read the poem and I went, that's important to remember. And I memorized it. I was also going through a memorized poem phase. Anyway, as a child brings their broken toys with tears for us to mend, I brought my broken dreams to God because he was my friend. But instead of leaving him in peace to work alone, I hung around and tried to help in ways that were my own. At last I snatched them back and cried, how could you be so slow? My child, he said, what could I do? You never did let go. Throughout the course of this book and into next week's chapter, we've been talking about what boils down to control and realizing that we have none. And our dreams and our plans and our well laid out thoughts really amount to squat if they do not align with God's plan. They have to align with God's plan. Right? I mean, the classic verse of that a lot of people is, oh, well, he wants good things for you. But God will give you the desires of your heart if you align with God's plan. If those align with God's plan. What matters is those desires of your heart. Are they God's desires? Are your plans God's plans? And as mothers, regularly when we wake up in the morning and we make a plan for the day, do we stop and think, God, what's your plan for today? Because realistically, as proven over and over again, we could not wake up tomorrow. We could not wake up in the next minute. We could drop dead right now. Every second of our life is temporary and is easily extinguished. So when you sit there and go, this is my plan, stop and ask, is this God's plan? God, what do you have planned? What do you expect of me? It may be still doing the mundane, but doing it with God as the one telling you what you should do relieves so much pressure and so much anxiety and so much guilt and condemnation. My goodness, it's like a smooth ride. Even if the day tanks, even if the children will not stop, even if all the children start puking, your day will still be better because you relied on God's plan and God's instruction rather than your own. All right, that's all for this week, guys. Tune in, of course, next week, last week. You don't want to miss it. If you haven't seen the other videos, again, link is down below. Gritty Grace of Motherhood. You don't need the book to get something from the videos, and you don't need the videos to get something from the book, but you get different things for each one, and they work together well. So check it out if you're interested. Link down below. I love you all. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great day. Bye.